No, we are in tumultuous times where the old certainties have been thrown aside.
Alex Younger, who used to be the boss of MI6, said this week, we are in a new era where international relations are not going to be determined by rules and multilateral institutions, but by strong men and deals. Would you agree with that sentiment? Is that the path we're going down?
It's terrifying, isn't it? Because here we are, a small country, relying on international law and the set of institutions which were set up to keep that in place and keep international cooperation in place. So you move to a world where, President Putin, President Trump and President Xi call the shots. It's not the sort of world most of us would want to live in. We want to see something more inclusive, something more based on international law, upholding human rights, being good for trade, being good for development, and all that is being cast aside in this new strongman scenario.
You touched on where the British defence spending is going to come from, and in fact, you're right, they're going to cut overseas aid to fund it, and we've seen America gutting US aid. Do you worry that a world where poverty isn't addressed is a more dangerous world, and that this could actually be more counterproductive?
More dangerous world, a sicker world, because we won't be on top of the disease outbreaks. And it's not just the US and the UK that are cutting. Germany's announcing cuts, the Japanese, the Dutch, the Belgians, the French, the Italians haven't given much anyway. All the heavy hitters are cutting.
And you will know the consequences of that. You ran the UNDP.
Yep.
This is core business.
This is core business. So firstly, the biggest call on international development aid at the moment is the humanitarian spend. People who are literally starving, they're in conflict zones, they don't have access to the basics of life. Without that humanitarian dollar, people die. Children are unvaccinated, etc. There's also a lot of concern, if you take the health aspects of US policy now, combined with the aid cuts, that we're not going to have surveillance over emerging disease threats, and that we're at more risk of another pandemic than we would otherwise be. So these cuts have very grave implications.